What if you woke up one day and discovered you'd been traded like property to the coldest, most powerful man in the country? This is Sophia's story, and trust me, you won't see this ending coming. Sophia Bennett was 25 and living her simple life, working at a bookstore, writing stories in coffee shops, dreaming of publishing her first novel. Her world was small, but it was hers. Then one Tuesday afternoon, everything shattered. A thick envelope arrived bearing a gold crest she didn't recognize, the Remington family seal. Her mother's face went pale as snow when she saw it. "Mom? What's wrong?" Her mother's hands trembled as she opened it, tears already forming. "Oh God. Oh no. They're enforcing it." Enforcing what? That's when Sophia learned the horrifying truth. 7 years ago, when her family faced bankruptcy, her father had borrowed a massive sum from the Remington Empire. Old money, dangerous money, the kind of family that owned half the city's skyline. But there was a clause. A clause her parents thought would never be triggered. If the debt wasn't repaid within 7 years, their daughter would be given to the Remington heir as payment. That's insane. Sophia screamed. That can't be legal. It is, her mother sobbed. Your father signed it. We both did. We were desperate and they promised it was just a formality. We never thought. You sold me? Sophia's world tilted. Like I'm some kind of medieval bride? 3 days. That's all she had. 3 days before Damien Remington would come to collect his property. Sophia spent those 72 hours researching escape routes, considering running, but everywhere she looked, the Remington name appeared. They owned security firms, private investigators, connections in every city. There was no running from this. The debt collector was coming. And he never lost. The knock came at exactly 6 p.m. 3 sharp raps that echoed through the small house like a judge's gavel. Sophia opened the door and her breath caught. Damien Remington was devastatingly handsome. Sharp jawline, ice blue eyes, tailored black suit that probably cost more than her car. But his beauty was cold, untouchable, like a statue carved from marble. Sophia Bennett? His voice was smooth, controlled, emotionless. That's me, she said, lifting her chin. Here to claim your prize? Something flickered in his eyes, surprise maybe, but it vanished instantly. I'm here to fulfill a contract. Nothing more. I'm not a contract. I'm a person. You're collateral, he corrected. And in my world, debts are always paid. Her mother appeared behind her, mascara streaking her face. Please, Mr. Remington. There has to be another way. We can pay in installments, we can... The time for negotiation ended 7 years ago. He looked back at Sophia. You have 1 hour to pack. Bring what matters. The rest will be provided. Sophia wanted to slam the door in his perfect face. Wanted to scream, fight, claw her way out of this nightmare. But something in his eyes told her resistance would be futile. This man didn't make threats. He stated facts. 1 hour later, Sophia sat in the back of a black Mercedes, her entire life reduced to 2 suitcases. The city lights blurred past as they drove toward the Remington estate on the outskirts of town. Damien sat across from her, working on his phone, not speaking. So what happens now? She finally asked. Do I become your servant? Your wife. He looked up. Tomorrow we'll sign papers at the courthouse. You'll take my name. You'll live in my home. Beyond that. He returned to his phone. Stay out of my way. Sophia's nightmare had officially begun. Remington Estate wasn't a home, it was a fortress. Iron gates, security cameras, guards patrolling the perimeter. The mansion itself was obscenely beautiful. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art worth millions hanging on walls like afterthoughts. But it felt dead. No warmth, no life, just expensive emptiness. Your quarters, Damien said, opening a door to a bedroom suite larger than Sophia's entire childhood home. Everything was pristine. White silk bedding. A walk-in closet already filled with designer clothes in her exact size. Even toiletries arranged like a luxury hotel. How did you know my size? She asked, unnerved. I know everything about you, Sophia. Where you work, what you study, your coffee order. When you acquire an asset, you research it thoroughly. I'm not an asset. He turned to leave. You are now. That first night, Sophia didn't sleep. She explored her gilded cage, the attached bathroom with a tub that could fit 3 people, the balcony overlooking gardens she wasn't sure she was allowed to enter, the lock on her door that only worked from the outside. Morning came with a knock. A maid, middle-aged, kind-faced, entered with breakfast on a silver tray. Good morning, Mrs. Remington. I'm Margaret. If you need anything. I'm not Mrs. Remington yet, Sophia interrupted. Margaret smiled sadly. Mr. Remington prefers we use proper titles. The ceremony is at noon. The courthouse wedding was everything romantic stories aren't. A board clerk reading legal jargon. Damien signing his name like he was approving a business expense. No kiss, no photos, no pretense of happiness. When the clerk said, "You may kiss the bride," Damien simply replied, "That won't be necessary." Sophia felt something crack inside her chest. Not heartbreak, she didn't love this man, but the death of every dream she'd ever had about partnership, about love, about choice. She was officially Mrs. Remington. And she'd never felt more alone. Sophia refused to disappear. If Damien thought she'd be a silent, obedient decoration, he was about to learn otherwise. It started small. The staff expected her to eat meals in her room, Mr. Remington's preference. Instead, Sophia marched into the main dining hall and sat at the head of the table. When Damien arrived for breakfast, he stopped short. "You're in my seat." Sophia sipped her coffee. "I don't see your name on it. This is my house. And I'm your wife," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "Doesn't that earn me a seat at the table? Or am I only Mrs. Remington when it's convenient?" His jaw clenched. For a long moment he just stared at her. Then he sat at the opposite end, 20 feet away, and ate in hostile silence. Next, Sophia claimed the library. It was a cathedral of books, 2 stories high with rolling ladders and leather chairs worn soft by decades of use. She made it her sanctuary, spending hours reading, writing, existing loudly in a space he clearly valued. One evening, Damien found her there, curled in his favorite chair. "That seat is taken." She looked up from her book. "Not anymore." "You're testing me." "I'm living," she corrected. "You brought me here, Damien. You forced me into your world. But you don't get to make me invisible." Something shifted in his expression. Respect? Frustration? He stepped closer and Sophia's heart hammered, but she didn't flinch. "Most women would be grateful," he said quietly. "The clothes, the room, the lifestyle. Most women had a choice." He had no response to that. Over the following weeks, Sophia pushed every boundary. Wore red to his corporate dinners. Spoke to his business partners without permission. Walked the gardens at midnight just because she could. And Damien watched her, always watching, his expression unreadable. The prisoner was becoming a queen. And he didn't know how to stop her. It happened 3 weeks into her captivity. Sophia had discovered the greenhouse, a glass paradise filled with orchids and climbing vines, the only place that felt alive in the dead mansion. She was watering plants, barefoot on cool tile, when the lights flickered. Her instinct screamed danger. Through the glass walls she saw a figure. Tall, moving deliberately, watching her. Not a guard. An intruder. Sophia's blood ran cold. She backed toward the exit, but the shadow moved faster. She heard glass tapping, someone testing the door. She ran. Barefoot across wet grass, her nightgown clinging to her legs, heart exploding in her chest. She burst through the mansion's side door and crashed directly into Damien. "Someone's out there," she gasped. "In the garden. Watching me." The transformation was instant. Damien's cold composure shattered into something fierce, protective. He barked orders into his phone, and within seconds the estate erupted with activity. Guards. Lights. Dogs. He turned back to her, gripping her shoulders. "Are you hurt?" "No, but..." "Stay inside. Now." He disappeared into the night. 20 agonizing minutes passed before he returned, shirt damp with sweat, jaw tight with fury. "We found evidence of someone breaching the perimeter. No sign of who." His eyes burned. "This is my fault." "How is it your fault?" "I have enemies, Sophia. People who'd love to hurt me through..." He stopped, looking at her like he was seeing something new. "Through you. So I'm bait now? A target?" "No." His voice dropped. "You're under my protection. And I never lose what's mine." Something in the way he said mine made her shiver. Not from fear. From something more dangerous. "I didn't think you cared if I lived or died," she whispered. Damien stepped closer, his hand rising to brush a strand of hair from her face. "Neither did I." Everything had just changed. And they both knew it. After the incident, Damien increased security. But he also did something unexpected. He started talking to her. It began with small things. Asking about her day. Actually listening when she spoke about the books she was reading. Sitting across from her at dinner instead of 20 feet away. Then came the storm. Rain hammered the mansion at 2 a.m. Sophia couldn't sleep, haunted by memories of the shadow in the garden. She was standing by her window when she heard the knock. Damien stood in her doorway, hair disheveled, no jacket, just a white shirt with sleeves rolled up. "I saw your light on," he said. "I couldn't sleep either." "Still thinking about the intruder?" "No." He stepped inside, closing the door. "Thinking about you." Sophia's breath caught. "What about me?" He moved to the window, standing beside her, both of them staring out at the storm. "I keep replaying that moment. When you ran to me terrified. And I realized if something had happened to you." His voice cracked. "I don't know what I would have done. Why do you care? I'm just collateral, remember?" That was a lie. He turned to face her. "I told myself I brought you here because of the contract. Because your family owed me. But that wasn't the whole truth." "Then what is?" His hand trembled as it rose to cup her cheek. "I brought you here because I was drowning, Sophia. Drowning in grief and rage and emptiness. And some sick part of me thought if I could control something, someone, I'd feel powerful again instead of broken." Tears slid down her cheeks. "That's cruel." "I know. And I'm sorry." His forehead pressed against hers. "But somewhere between your rebellion and your strength, I stopped seeing you as revenge. I started seeing you as salvation." When their lips met, it was desperate and tender and terrifying. Sophia knew she should pull away, should protect her heart, but she couldn't. Because somewhere in this nightmare she'd started falling for her captor. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. The morning after their kiss, tension hung thick in the air. They danced around each other, hyper-aware, terrified of acknowledging what was growing between them. Then Sophia found the photograph. She was in the library reaching for a book on a high shelf, when a picture frame fell. A woman stared back at her, dark hair, radiant smile, arms wrapped around a younger, happier version of Damien. Margaret walked in, saw the photo and went pale. "Who is this?" Sophia asked. "You should ask Mr. Remington." That evening, Sophia cornered him in his study. She placed the photo on his desk. "Who is Isabella?" The color drained from Damien's face. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, "My fiancée. She died 3 years ago." "I'm so sorry." "In a car accident." His voice turned to ice. "Caused by a delivery truck with faulty brakes." "Your father's truck." The world stopped spinning. "What?" "Your father owned Bennett Trucking. He cut corners on maintenance to save money. The brakes failed on Highway 9. Isabella's car was hit head-on." Damien's hands balled into fists. "She died instantly." Sophia couldn't breathe. "My father never told me." "Of course not." He settled quietly. "Took the insurance payout. The Remingtons were compensated." Damien's laugh was bitter. "As if money could replace her. So when you learned I was part of the contract." "I saw an opportunity for justice. To make someone from that family finally pay." He looked at her, eyes blazing with old pain. "I know you didn't drive the truck. I know it's not your fault. But you're all I have left to punish." The cruelty of it broke something in Sophia. She stood, voice shaking. "You want to hate someone? Hate him. Hate the universe. But don't you dare use me as a substitute for your dead fiancé." She ran from the study, tears streaming. Behind her, she heard something crash, Damien throwing the photo frame against the wall. That night, for the first time since Isabella's death, Damien Remington wept. The ghost between them had finally been named. But could they ever move past her? After learning the truth, Sophia couldn't stay. She loved him. God help her, she'd fallen for this broken, cruel, grieving man, but she couldn't be his punishment forever. So she planned her escape. For 2 weeks she studied the estate. Guard rotations. Camera blind spots. The old service gate hidden behind ivy on the eastern wall. She packed a small bag. Hid emergency cash. Waited for the perfect night. It came during a new moon, maximum darkness. At 2 a.m. Sophia slipped out. Her heart hammered as she crossed the garden, using hedges as cover. The gate was ahead, rusty but unlocked. Freedom was 30 seconds away. Going somewhere? She spun around. Damien stood in the shadows, barefoot, eyes burning with betrayal and something rawer, fear. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. "So you were just going to vanish? No goodbye? No explanation?" "What explanation do you want?" "Sorry, but being your emotional punching bag got too painful?" He stepped closer. "You think that's all you are to me? Aren't I? You said it yourself. I'm here because my father killed the woman you loved." "No." His voice broke. "You're here because I was too broken to see what was right in front of me. A woman who's brave and stubborn and refuses to be crushed. A woman who makes me want to be human again instead of this monster." Sophia's vision blurred with tears. Then why didn't you just tell me? Because I didn't know how. He grabbed her hands. I've spent 3 years building walls, Sophia. You're the first person who made me want to tear them down. But I don't know how. I'm terrified I'll hurt you more. That you'll wake up one day and realize you deserve so much better than a man who bought you like property. You're right. I do deserve better. She pulled her hands away and his face crumbled. But I also deserve the truth. Not games. Not punishment. If we're going to do this, actually do this, we start over. No more ghosts. No more revenge. Just two broken people trying to heal. He stared at her like she was offering the impossible. Can you forgive me? I don't know yet. But I'm willing to try. She stepped away from the gate. Are you? Damien pulled her into his arms, holding her like she might disappear. I'll spend the rest of my life trying. The escape attempt ended. But something new began, a real choice to stay. 2 months later, Sophia stood in the bathroom, hands trembling as she stared at 2 pink lines. Pregnant. Terror and joy warred in her chest. They'd been rebuilding, slowly, carefully, talking about their pasts, about Isabella, about her father's mistakes. Damien had even started therapy. But this? A baby? They weren't ready. Or were they? That evening she found him in the library, reading one of the books she'd recommended. He looked up, smiling, a real smile, the kind that reached his eyes now. Hey, I was just... He stopped, seeing her face. What's wrong? Sophia's hands shook. I need to tell you something. And I don't know how you'll react, but... You're scaring me. I'm pregnant. The book fell from his hands. For 5 endless seconds he just stared. Then he crossed the room in 3 strides and fell to his knees in front of her. Say it again. I'm pregnant. About 6 weeks. His hands gently touched her stomach, tears streaming down his face. We're having a baby? Yes. I know it's fast and we're still figuring things out, but... This is everything. He looked up at her, eyes blazing with emotion. Sophia, this is everything. She crumbled into his arms, relief flooding through her. You're not angry? Angry? I'm terrified. I'm overwhelmed. But angry? He cupped her face. This is the greatest gift anyone's ever given me. A second chance. At family. At love. At life. That night, they lay in bed together for the first time, not making love, just holding each other, his hand resting protectively over her stomach. I'm going to be a father, he whispered, voice full of wonder. A good one, Sophia assured him. How do you know? Because you're finally letting yourself feel again. That's what kids need, parents who feel. He kissed her softly. I love you, Sophia. I should have said it sooner, but... I love you too. She smiled through tears. Even though you're the most complicated person I've ever met. You're pretty complicated yourself. From revenge to redemption. From contract to family. Their story was becoming something beautiful. The mansion had transformed. No longer a sterile showpiece, it was a home. Crayon drawings decorated the refrigerator. Toys scattered across marble floors. A swing set stood in the garden where Sophia once ran from shadows. And laughter, so much laughter, echoed through halls that had been silent for decades. 3-year-old Oliver Remington had his mother's green eyes and his father's stubborn determination. Right now he was helping Damien build a blanket fort in the living room, which mostly involved knocking things over and giggling maniacally. Sophia watched from the doorway, laptop balanced on her hip. Her novel, Collateral Damage, a love story, had just hit the bestseller list. She'd written their story, transformed it into fiction, and the world had fallen in love with a tale of 2 broken people finding redemption in each other. Mommy, look. Oliver called. Daddy's a dragon. Damien roared playfully, chasing their son around the room. He was different now, softer, present, alive. Therapy had helped. But mostly it was love. The kind of love he never thought he deserved. Later, after Oliver fell asleep between them during movie night, Sophia and Damien stood on the balcony, the city lights twinkling below. Do you ever regret it? Damien asked. Staying when you could have run? Sophia thought about that night at the gate, about every painful moment that came before. No. Because running would have meant missing this. Missing us. He pulled her close. I was so angry when I brought you here. I thought revenge would heal me. Instead, you taught me something better, forgiveness. We taught each other, she corrected. He kissed her forehead. Margaret told me something interesting today. She said she knew we'd make it the day you sat in my seat at breakfast. She said, that girl's got fire. And fire is exactly what this cold house needed. Sophia laughed. she wasn't wrong. No, she wasn't. He turned her to face him. Thank you, Sophia. For seeing past the monster. For giving me a second chance. For loving me when I didn't deserve it. We all deserve love, Damien. Even broken people. Especially broken people. Inside, Oliver called out from his sleep. They went to him together, a family forged not from tradition or expectation, but from choice, from struggle, from healing. Sophia's life hadn't turned out anything like she'd planned. But as she tucked her son in and felt her husband's arm around her waist, she realized something profound. Sometimes the best stories aren't the ones we write. They're the ones that write us. So, what did you think? Could you forgive someone who hurt you this badly? Was Damien's redemption earned or too easy? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. If this story made you cry, smash that like button and subscribe for more emotional roller coasters.